Hey everybody, thanks so much for the birthday wishes yesterday. I'm really touched. I'm always really touched by the people that care to take a moment to reach out and say happy birthday each year. So thank you all. I was going to make this post yesterday, but as you can see, I'm on holiday here on the shores of Lake Rotomar near Rotorua, and it just didn't feel right making the post yesterday. You know, yesterday was a family day, and we had a perfect day going mountain biking up in the redwood forests. But I did want to make this post about all the things that I've learnt last year. You know, I turned 41 yesterday, and I definitely learnt a lot last year. So the things that I've learnt, my biggest lessons of my 40th lap around the sun were, well, firstly, I took on a lease just before the beginning of last year in a space that inspired me. You know, it was a real call from my heart, something about that space. I wouldn't have been able to continue in my life if I'd not done what I did. And it turned out to be, you know, hard. Last year was one of the hardest years of my life. So yeah, just to give you a bit of background info there. Yeah, I'd taken on a sort of brick and mortar aspect to one of my businesses. So the lessons that I've learnt last year are that the relentless overheads of a brick and mortar venue are constant and unchanging. But that very little else when it comes to business is constant and unchanging, so especially people. I've learnt again that cash flow is king and that cash reserve is queen, absolutely. I've learnt about growth engines in business, so that was a new learning that I'm really looking forward to applying in my business moving forwards. I've learnt about the value of setting up very clear expectations at the beginning of any instance when I'm working with other people. That was a lesson I learnt the hard way. Geez, talk about being bitten in the bum by that. So I learnt that I'm going to be even more selective when it comes to the people that I choose to surround myself with this year. I've learnt that trying to do things alone is almost impossible, but that also trying to do things by a large committee is almost just as impossible. So for that, the learning really, well, what I think I've learnt is that there's going to be enormous power in small, inspired teams that work together and communicate and can communicate easily and quickly. So what else? I've discovered an internal part that had been keeping itself very, very well hidden, and you know, it feels so much this year that I've been keeping things alive at all costs, you know, and that it was never okay to kind of kill stuff. You know, so this nurturer part has always been there, but then just a few weeks ago I discovered a kind of killer part, and the message that came through to me was that, you know, sometimes it's necessary to kill in order to create, you know, and it's very obvious to me that I'm a creative being, so integrating that part enabled me to actually shut that space down, finally. You know, so that was a decision I made 2 days ago before I had my birthday. Amazing. I've learnt that trying to scale a clunky business model with many moving parts is hard. So hard, and without cash reserves to do it, so the lesson there is simplify to scale. You know, I'm very much looking forward to implementing that this year as well. I've learnt that feeding my brain and body what it loves is a great, great, great investment. Absolutely. You know, I've been trying the bulletproof diet for probably about 6 weeks now. Since I've been away on holidays for the last week, haven't done that so much, but the results have been astounding. So that's been amazing. I've learnt that there's a lot of value in momentum and a lot of devalue when you lose it as well. So that was a big learning for me. I've learnt that sometimes people say yes, I've learnt that sometimes people say no, sometimes people will change their mind, and sometimes people are going to be triggered by you just by being you. And I've learnt that the more you be you, the more that this is likely to happen. People keep saying that when you put yourself out there, the haters kind of rise up and make themselves known. And it's not always haters though, but it's just something about you will trigger something in other people, and they'll lash out at you and extend blame and not good attributes and attach them to you for one reason or another. And there's not really much you can do about that, unfortunately, other than just to let it go and hope that whatever that part is that's being triggered will eventually be healed. So that person doesn't need to really subject themselves to that, because it doesn't feel good to have bad feeling thoughts about somebody, does it? So anyway, there's some of my biggest learnings of the year. According to, as I sort of said in one of my earlier posts as well, just to say you've learnt something doesn't necessarily mean you have until you test it. So I'm really looking forward to testing all of these learnings in my 41st year around the sun. Any of you who aren't in my Facebook group, We Are Unlimited. It's a group for entrepreneurs and global change makers, people that know they've got that seed of greatness inside of them that's calling them to more, and the people in that group are taking action towards that. So if that sounds like you and you're not already in the group, just have a look below. I'll stick a link in there. I've got something really exciting coming up as well. It's a weekly podcast. I've got a very exciting guest coming up, and it's going to be the very, very best learnings of these 6 and 7 entrepreneurs, all condensed down into a 15-minute juicing session, I call it. So it's going to be called The Juice, and I've got a really exciting guest speaker coming up for the very first installment. So keep your eyes out for more information on that, but I'm going to go back to my family. We're driving back to New Plymouth today, so those of you who are in New Plymouth and I get to see you, I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.